I'm gonna take this and turn it into this. Stay tuned and enjoy the video. You asked for it, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna show you how to do some more projects using our decorative foils. So what we're gonna do today is I've actually taken a table that I had used in an earlier video. It already had the ultimate top coat on it, and I sanded it, painted it, and here we are. All right, so now I'm so excited, guys, to bring in the queen of the foils herself, Jennifer Ferguson with Artistic Painting Studio.
Hello.
I'm so excited you're here. I've been wanting to bring you in so long because everyone loves the foils and they love to be able to do some bigger items. And so showing this table is going to be perfect.
I'm Jennifer Ferguson, as Rhonda had indicated, and my company is Artistic Painting Studio. You can find us everywhere on all social medias under Artistic Painting Studio.
All right.
So this has been awesome, having time to spend together again, finally.
We taught a class, guys, this whole past week, and so we've had so much fun.
It has been. And the stuff that you do with the foils is just amazing. So I'm thrilled to be here and show you guys how to do this.
All right. So what we've done, like I said, we've prepped this table. I sanded it down. It did have the gloss UTC. I sanded it down with 80 grit. I did not have to sand it all the way back down to the epoxy. I just got a really, really good, thorough sanding, and then we painted it with 2 coats of our Stone Coat Countertop black undercoating, and it has dried thoroughly. Now we're going to go to our first step, which is to apply the adhesive, and this is the adhesive that we're using. It's Jennifer's own line of adhesive. It's the Artsyville line, and in my opinion, guys, this is by far the best foil adhesive I have ever used. I absolutely love it. I'm going to let you explain more about all of that, and then I'm just going to step back and watch you do your magic.
So as Rhonda indicated, this stuff was actually formulated for the whole process of transferring foils to give you guys the best release we can. So I always take it out of the container, and I'm going to put it back underneath there so I don't
kick
the bucket. Okay. And then we're just using a serving tray. I've lined it with press and seal, and it's just a great place where you can roll back and forth, work it into your brush or your roller, and apply it.
What size nap roller are you using?
Always using low nap. I always like the weenie rollers, 6-inch, 4-inch. They're easy for our small projects. So I'm just going to go ahead and start rolling on the surface. You guys can see that it goes on milky white, and it will dry perfectly clear. You just want to get it on here, and once you start getting it on your surface, I do try to go from end to end if I can and start smoothing out any of my roller marks or anything else I got going on. And I think we're going to need some more adhesive here in a second. But once you do start getting the product onto the surface and you've got an area covered, this foil adhesive does not self-level. So whatever mark you leave behind, you could possibly see through the foils, because the foils are such a thin metallization. So I will finesse it. I'll go back and forth a couple of times. I'm pulling the nap all in one direction, and I'm just trying to soften out as much texture as I can.
Perfect. Yes.
And
yeah, that looks great.
I know. So we'll just finish this out. The longer you wait for it to dry, the better. Minimum and good warm environment during the summer, maybe 30 minutes, but always best if you're an hour or longer, okay? Even overnight. There's no window.
That's what my favorite part of your adhesive is that we could do this now and come back in a year.
We can. It'll still be sticky.
And it'll still be sticky until something is put on top of it.
Correct. So
my favorite. Love it. Okay.
Makes it easy.
It is. All right, so we'll finish this and we'll let it dry and we'll be back. Jen, what's the best way to check and see if it's dry enough for us to go to the next level?
Well, there's so many variables, okay, with the foil adhesive. The drier your environment, that you're working in with no humidity, the quicker that's actually going to dry. So it's going to go from milky white to looking clear and shiny. It should be what I call a firm hard tack. So you can stick your finger in here and it's going to almost give you like a pop.
A pop noise?
Pop noise, but it's not going to feel sticky. It's not going to feel like it's going to, move off on you.
Yeah,
okay?
so if I touch it and pop it, then this is all clear.
Right.
Cool. Okay.
But I would say, you don't want to wait any less than maybe like 30 minutes.
Okay.
An hour is kind of like where I kind of gauge people because I know everybody's in a hurry and
Right.
just excited to do this. So they just want to oh, it cleared. Let's just throw it on.
Right.
But the longer they wait, the better. So there are times when I'm working on something like this, I got my base coat down, I put my adhesive, I walk away from this till tomorrow.
Oh, good. So overnight.
So
there you
overnight
go.
is awesome.
Okay, perfect.
And then we're ready to go. So
Well, let's go. I'm so excited.
I know.
This foil, y'all, is amazing.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
Gorgeous. So it's called Serpico Snake, and it really is a beautiful foil pattern. So there's a couple of ways to do this. Rhonda and I get to work together on this, so it's going to be easier. We have, 42-inch round.
Mm-hmm.
So, stretching across 42 inches by yourself can be tricky. I'm tall. I got a better reach than you do, okay?
I'm fun size, so I'm not tall.
I'm just a taller version, okay? But even for me, that would be a difficult reach, okay?
Right.
So I'm just going to show a little trick, though, if I had to do this by myself, because I recently did a bathroom wall that was probably about 3 or 4 feet, only a half wall. And what I will do is take the foil. Kind of noisy, okay, here, but we're going to reverse roll this. So the outside or the back side, transfer side, whatever you want to call it, is going to be exposed.
Okay.
But I've got it rolled up to where I can handle it. I can hold it. I'm now in control of this. And at least I can get it positioned. I could get it straight.
Yeah.
And I can work it down the wall.
There you go.
So great
Okay.
trick if you're working by yourself. Now, if you got a friend handy,
There you go.
this is your best one.
All right.
Okay, so a little bit about the design. The design is kind of off-centered on this pattern.
Right.
So really a good idea not just to find the center of your project if you're going to work from the center out, but determine if there is some part of this pattern that is not actually centered.
Right.
And work from there. So if we want and try to get this piece here centered.
That could be our center point.
That could be our center point, and we're going to work both directions.
Okay, cool. Even though it's not necessarily the center of the foil.
Correct.
Gotcha.
The pattern has the repeat on here where this would be either my center point or this part of the design.
Okay.
I did a bench. I didn't think about that, okay? I just went down the center. So from how I learned, okay? And then let's also try to bring this out so we could wrap over the edge.
Okay, so I want to come my way.
So one of us is a driver and the other one is the holder.
I'll hold.
Okay.
You drive.
So I'll drive. You stay high.
Okay.
I go low. And we're going to try to do... You're going to guess the best you can, okay? I'm trying to get something centered. And Rhonda's keeping it up so that I can smooth it down as we go. Now, the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to try to stay off our edges so that we are not pushing down the straight edges of the design. Because if you do, you will get that perfect straight line in your transfer, and we're going to want to seam those together so that they overlap and we try to blend that seam to disappear.
Yeah, there we go.
So I always rub down with a nice soft cloth. That way I can get rid of any bubbles. You know, if you do this by yourself, I'll guarantee you're probably going to have a wrinkle or a crinkle. Just embrace it. It's part of foiling. And at this point, I would start to do maybe a little peel and reveal and just see where your transfer is. Okay, with just rubbing, I'm definitely not getting a full release. So let it go back down, rub it on there, and then we're going to grab a scrub brush, just plastic bristles, your basic bathroom scrub brush, okay? Nothing fancy. And then scrub it in the direction of the design, okay? Or I should say, you know, try to stay going with the linear footage of the pattern. And again, take a peek and see what we're getting now. Now, my edges have kind of come to where they're getting a little bit of a line, but I'm not going to transfer that completely all the way out so that I can overlap and we can blend that away.
It's very subtle. It's very subtle. Yes.
As long as you don't push on them. So when you're calculating your square footage on your project, make sure you give yourself like 20, maybe 25%, what I call salvage edge. Because you are not going to be able to use
every single
inch of the foil. You are going to have some waste. You're going to have some salvage. So you can start pulling back and really critiquing. So now I'm going to go after it.
So now you're getting a little more aggressive with it.
Right. And then that's only where I'm now actually critiquing it as I pull back. And again, you can kind of hold on to the foil neatly and pull. And then just see if you feel like there's areas that there's too much metallization left here. And maybe I'm seeing a lot of my base coat. Lay it back down. Go at it again.
Yep. Beautiful.
And what's going to happen is that we have 2 layers of base coat. We have a layer of foil adhesive. All of it has created some texture. Yeah. So it's a very fine texture, but we do have some texture.
But it looks amazing on the skin.
I know.
Holy cow. It makes it look like this is literally a snaky skin. This is awesome. And if you knew how bad I hated snakes, it's odd that I love this, but I think it is absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, so let's keep playing. You do want to make sure that you're kind of holding on to all your scrap or used foil so it does not flip over into any of the foil adhesive that has not had anything transferred to it, because the plastic side sticks really
this is all super, super sticky.
Yes. So I'm trying to be careful and hold on to this and make sure that it doesn't get flipped backwards. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, because we still have so much area, and we're going to flip this over the edge.
Right.
So that we're going to continue it. I'm going to lay that side back.
There we go.
If you want to finish scrubbing that side out. And then I can actually go from this side. So there are some things with foiling that's great to have a partner in crime, okay? So that you have somebody to work with. But you definitely can also do it by yourself. The reverse rolling it, that helps tremendously. But when I was talking about the texture, so the foil is always going to grab the highest point. And when you lift it up and you allow the foil to be removed and then you pull it or put it back down, it's allowing it to go into any of the recessed areas. So if you have anything that has a little texture, a little wood grain, any of that, that just helps it get a full release.
Right.
Oh my gosh. That is so awesome. I don't care how many years I've been doing this, Rhonda, I still love the peel and reveal, okay?
Yep.
Okay, are you good on your end?
I am good.
I'm going to go a little further. First piece done. This is going to be so awesome.
All righty, here we go. And I'm the same way. As many times as I've done foils, I still get super excited.
Oh, I know. I don't care how many years I've been doing it, how long I've been doing it. I am always just thrilled to see it. My little phrase always is the peel and reveal.
Yep, let's go away from this.
Yeah,
there we go.
Away from the table. So we did tell everybody that if you got the foil upside down, it sticks really,
We
really.
actually need to explain that to them right now. You kind of explain what foils are.
So foil is a metallization, could be a pattern, color, holographic, whatever, on a plastic carrier. So the side that has the beautiful pattern and print that you can see is plastic. The foil or metallization is on the back side.
Right.
So if you get this flipped upside down, it's plastic being stuck into adhesive, and oh my gosh.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. It can almost, I don't want to say deactivate, but it can affect the release if you did get it stuck upside down.
So you have to be super careful with that. Yeah.
Just want to make sure you are definitely transferring the correct side.
Exactly.
So I always say pretty side up. Okay, so let's overlap about a good 1/2 inch. But mine already, let's see. Okay, we can pull up. So I have.
Let me see where you're at.
Go back over a little bit more to your right. There we go. I think that should be good.
Yeah, I need my little, I'm gonna let you rub, I'm just gonna hold.
Okay, so even with the help of having 2 people do this, and as our project started to curve, we didn't have like a straight edge to even start off of. With that, we still got some wrinkles. But what's going to be amazing is you most likely won't see them, and if you do, they're not going to take away from this design or anything.
Yeah.
So just rub them, still try to smooth out what you can, and then we both can go at it with a scrub brush.
Yep.
So when we seam, we want to be real careful and do this with the rag, soft cloth, because you are now making 2 sections of foil come together, and part of this will be foil over foil, and other parts are still going to have that adhesive exposed. But where you already have foil transferred and you've got more foil on your carrier, you don't want to scrub that area because
you'll
it
scratch
could scratch it.
Yeah, okay.
And if you end up with an air bubble, don't panic. Let that bubble burp, put it right back down, it will transfer.
Yep, so, okay, she'll show this right here. All right, so we had a wrinkle, okay? I pulled it up past the wrinkle. See that little line right there? And see that there's still, the foil is still on the plastic? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay it back down. And now when I pick it up, you can see
it's filled in.
That it filled in.
There. So if you do find that you feel like there's any negative area or too much black, you can always even grab
some salvage
edge, overlap those areas, and again, that's your seam. So only your finger or your rag.
Right.
And then just fill some of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely perfect.
So if nobody knew where the pattern was and saw the original foil, I don't think anybody else could pick out where our seam is.
No. Now, once you pull the foil, now it's no longer sticky. All right, so once the adhesive has the foil over it, nothing is sticky. This, still very, very sticky. This is good.
Now, and when you get a transfer that's, and it's not perfect, but we also picked a base coat color that was going to complement the foil and hide or not really notice any imperfections, because foils are not perfect.
Right.
Now we can lay this over the top and measure our next piece. Which way do you want to go?
Oh, let's get this. Yeah. So what we would not want to do is like you're saying, we would have never wanted to paint this white.
No.
Because then that would transfer through our foil. Now we could have even painted it a gold, and then it would have, if it did see something through, it would be gold, but then I wouldn't really I want that contrast of that black behind it.
9 times out of 10, black's always going to be best.
Yeah.
I think if we can get just even a close-up so people can understand how much is really left on the carrier, and this is considered almost 100% release. It's never going to be 100%. You're in that high 90s, but anywhere where there's metallization left on the carrier, your base coat can peek through.
Right, exactly. So see the difference, like this is our salvage edge. This is a little bit that was left on there. And that's where you're saying, make sure you get, allow yourself about 25%.
Yeah, because you're never going to be able to use that. So
Exactly.
Don't calculate your square footage to the inch.
The T, yes, exactly.
Give
Okay.
yourself something to be forgiving.
Some wiggle room.
Yeah, a little wiggle room will definitely make you happy in the end, okay?
So you go first, I'll just follow.
And let's go almost to the busy part, okay? So we
Right
can
there?
kind of overlap. Yeah,
Right there?
I think
Okay.
we're good. I'm having to work left-handed.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a major wrap, okay?
All right, so I'm going to let you start wrapping first. We might be able to cut it, yeah.
I think I want to cut this so that we can do a little bit of mitering maybe. And that could be used on another project, but I'm even going to do a little snip that direction so that we can pull it down with less wrinkles coming down the sides. And we'll just go ahead and miter this. We need one more hand.
Yes.
That'd look kind of funny, but it would help right now. And I'm just pushing down with my hands just to get it down there. I always do like the soft cloth because sometimes the foils can be sensitive enough that you could almost transfer your fingerprints. So don't lay your hand on top of it.
There we go.
Let's get rid of... Really sharp scissors help.
Okay, don't be a hater on my scissors.
Just saying.
I know what I'm getting for Christmas.
Yes, I know. I'm sending her scissors and brushes. Okay, so even though we might have a little overlap, a little wrinkle here, that is going to be a better transition coming around that
Right.
whole edge like
Yep.
we did. When we just had the ends that were wrapping, that was fine. But this will definitely, I think, give us a better look.
Yeah.
So every project you do, you're always going to have a little different way of maybe how you trim things, work over your edges, whatever you have to deal with. The last time I installed this particular foil, it was on a vinyl bench.
Okay.
And I went right over the previous vinyl that was on the bench. It was black vinyl, cleaned it, foil adhesive, and foiled.
That's awesome. So there's so many things you can give new life to.
Yeah, that was pulled out of the garbage can. And when you are doing your edges and your seams, I should say, not your edges, make sure you are just using the cloth and not going over to the foiled side that's exposed, because you could even rub that too hard and possibly
Scratch it.
you might get like a rub mark.
Rub mark, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
That is just cool.
Oh
as
my
can
gosh.
be.
It's gorgeous.
So one of the super cool things, because in most of the stuff I do, which is more decorative painting, we always have to wait for something to dry before we can go to the next layer.
I know. We
Now-
can go right now.
We can go.
Right
And
now.
because this transfers so well, there's very minimal, maybe adhesive showing, and I would just pour right over it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would not worry about clearing it first. If I was going to do something crazy and do some manipulating, or I was going to put another layer of something else, I would clear it to protect it, just to make sure we don't damage anything.
Right.
But all we're going to do is put some kind of epoxy.
Exactly. Okay, so what Jen's referring to is if we did a pattern where maybe we didn't want or have 100% of the release, and we still had quite a bit of the glue adhesion or the adhesive, showing through, because there are some finishes that we've done where when we go to transfer, we don't transfer 100%. We actually want it to look worn and old, so we don't ask for 100% of a release. In those cases, we're still gonna have quite a bit of that adhesive still sticky. And what I've found that works best is this: if you have that, to just go over it with a clear coat of something to isolate that level. You can do a clear spray paint, make sure it's matte. You can come over with a polyacrylic. You can come over it with final coat, all kind of things that you could do to kind of isolate this before you go to the epoxy stage. But like she said, we're 100% coverage, very little, if any, honestly.
Feels so good.
Well, we're going to the next step. Okay, so we're ready to do the epoxy, and we're going to go 3 ounces per square foot. We're doing a 42-inch round. I added a little bit of gold dust, y'all. It's gonna be amazing. All right, so what I want to make sure that you guys don't do is use a trowel right here, because you will scratch this. This is very, very delicate until you get the epoxy on it. So don't lay anything on it. Don't run your trowel across it, because you will scratch it. All right, so here we go. We're using the Stone Coat countertop art coat. Now you don't have to use the art coat. You can use the regular epoxy, because we're not going over a white finish. I just happen to use art coat for everything I do. And like I said, we added a tiny bit, very tiny bit of the gold dust, because I only want a tiny bit of a shimmer. Now I like to kind of hit my epoxy with a little bit of heat prior to me troweling it out or moving it out with my hands, just to warm it up a little bit and help it to spread. All right, okay. Jen, get in here. Oh my gosh, the epoxy literally makes this pattern jump out at you and looks 3D.
This is just gonna be absolutely amazing.
Now, what I think I'm gonna do is, once this layer dries or cures for 24 hours, I'm contemplating putting a logo, RK3 Designs logo. So y'all let me know in the comments below if you would like to see a logo on this table, or do you think I ought to leave it like it is? Now, we talk about this quite a bit when we do our edges. Remember, epoxy likes to go where epoxy has already been. So I'm gonna take my hand, I'm gonna rub that edge, and then I'm gonna take that epoxy and I'm gonna push it under that edge just a little bit so that it flows continuously all the way. And you'll also notice that the bottom and the top edge have been rounded over so that we don't have any surface tension, and the epoxy will flow very nicely. Now we don't have to tape and dam up any of this epoxy on the top, because we're only using 3 ounces per square foot. And this is a 1-to-1 tabletop epoxy, 1-to-1 ratio. This is not a flooring epoxy. This is epoxy that's made specifically to be used on tabletops, and it self-levels to about 1/8 of an inch. So there's no need to tape your edges. As long as you push that epoxy over and run your hand up underneath that edge, and you're pouring this in the optimal temperature range, which is above 70, and you're keeping it at that temperature for at least 24 hours, your epoxy is going to self-level and look amazing. All right, so let's torch it a couple of times. And there's just enough bling. I'm not sure the camera can catch it, but there's just enough bling that ever so often you see a little bit of that gold dust. All right. Golly, I love it.
Absolutely gorgeous, Rhonda.
Well, it's your foils. So you are the only one that exclusively carries this particular foil and many other foils, right?
Many others, yes. We have this one exclusively manufactured for us. The only other place would be some of our retailers.
Okay, so if you want this, guys, if you want this look, then reach out to Jen at Artistic Painting Studio. You can follow the link that we're gonna have in this video. You can also go to our website, and we have a affiliate link there as well. But she's got a ton of products, not just foils, but she has texture mediums, she has decorative rollers, all kind of fun stuff. So check her out. All right, so our next step is going to be probably, I'm not sure yet, put a logo. So what we would do is we would let this first coat cure 24 hours. We'll come back, put a logo if we decide, and then we'll flood it. And then we're gonna come over the top with the ultimate top coat, and we're gonna leave this in a gloss, guys. This just has that wow factor where I really want it to be glossy. And if you're interested in seeing how we do our ultimate top coat, we'll also have that video linked in the description. Very important that you watch that video and you practice before you tackle one of your projects. All of these products are available on our website, RK3Designs.com. I would also love to invite you to our insiders group, RK3 Design Epoxy Insiders on Facebook. Join us. It is growing and it is a great community to learn and to share your work. All right, Jen, until next time, do you remember? We're not gonna be scared. We're gonna move forward. And we're going to be creative, right?
Amen.
All right. Till next time, guys. Love ya.